Welcome back to Save the Panel. This is Darren again with the ZEN12 Motion Dimmer. This is actually the fourth video, even though it's called part two, of the ZEN12 Motion Dimmer review. We were very lucky to get our hands on a pre-production version of the ZEN12. We've reviewed it in previous videos on various ecosystems. We've updated firmware, but now I've used it in my home for about 4 or 5 weeks now. So these are the lessons learned from having it installed, what works, what was a little flaky. So join me in a quick exploration of what I found and what I implemented and how I liked it. So here's a layout of my garage. I actually did this diagram for a different purpose. So you'll see this is the Z-Wave layer just in the garage alone. There's quite a few Z-Wave devices here. Almost looks like a Zooz showroom. But trust me, my garage is a disaster. An actual photo would make some people pass out. It's one of the curses of having a home with no basement. The garage becomes storage. But anyway, so there's a lot of Z-Wave going on here, but the ZEN12 itself I installed right here next to the door. We go in and out through the garage a lot. This pathway here from garage door to this door coming into the house is our primary in and out. We also have some storage in here. This acts as like a pantry. So we're in and out of this garage an awful lot. So putting the motion sensor right here seemed to make some sense since these lights here are manually turned off and on quite a bit. Actually, before the ZEN12, the contact sensor for this door that's part of our IQ4 alarm system, that contact being opened would actually cause these lights to turn on for 5 minutes is how it was configured before the ZEN12. So with the ZEN12 installed here, I had configured this primarily to turn on motion and to stay lit for, I believe it was 90 seconds, if I remember correctly. It might have been 60 seconds, but 90 seconds. And that was most of our trips in and out were about that long. Of course, if motion caused it to re-trigger, it certainly could. What I found though over the span of testing is because this is PIR, of course, if I walked over here near my workbench and I stood still for a minute, the ZEN12 would forget I was there, turn the lights off on me, and I could, wave my arms, move a little bit, it would wake back up. Pretty standard fare for a PIR sensor, I do believe. As it worked as I walked out of this door, even though the switch was wall mounted here, it almost, actually 100% of the time, not almost, but 100% of the time as you stepped into this doorway, these lights would go on. So it was flawless from a sensitivity, crossing a plane of motion perspective. Now it did get a little annoying if I was working in the garage. And I actually came up with another workaround for that, which was to program the button here on the ZEN12. If you double press the dim up button, it would run a script that would turn off the motion control of the lights and just lock them into an on or off mode. Actually defaults to on, and then you can manually turn it off and on. And if you double press the dim down button, it runs a script to reinstate the motion control of the light. I'll show you that script here in just a minute. Yeah, just to give you the overview of where things were installed, this is the ZEN12. Now, you'll notice that there is a ZSE11 motion sensor here. This is normally not here. This I installed on purpose for this testing. And the reason was I wanted, and this diagram is very misleading, but the ZEN12 is actually right next to the ZSE11. So they were looking at the same direction, at the same types of motion. And I did that on purpose to see, did we have motions that were sensed by one and not the other? etc. And we'll go through those logs in a few minutes. I'll show you what my findings were. But I use the ZSE11 kind of as my check and balance for the Zen12. Which may have been a little unfair since I have the ZSE11, it's battery powered, so it's probably not going to be as chatty as the Zen12 can be since it's mains powered, but we can get to that as well. Okay, so let's take a look at some live log files here. So this is, right now it's, by the way, a rainy Memorial Day here, and it's 2:27 p.m. or so. Let's see if we can refresh this. Okay, so we have some logs from 2:22 p.m. here. So you can see this is the Zen12, and this is probably the one thing that the Zen12 does that I could not figure out. But in the daytime, my garage does have some light coming in through small windows at the top of the large garage doors. There's no other windows in the garage. However, at those lower light levels where it's just a little sunlight coming in, you can see that the lux sensor bounces around between, today at the moment it's doing 22 lux to 1 lux back and forth. And on a sunnier day, sometimes you can see more of a variance. Let me go back to maybe. Okay, so here I found a day where it was a little more sunny. I mean, you can see that the lux sensor loves to bounce around, right? 12, 104, 131, 203, 202, 24. But these low-high bounces happened a lot during the day. A low registration, a high registration, and they're just a second apart. And you can see all of these repeated reportings, which for my system is not a big deal, but that's a lot of conversation. Whereas you look at the ZSE11 next to it, it's just reporting 34 and reports in far less frequently, probably because it's a battery powered device. But here we're going 34 to 62 to 108, so to 34. So maybe there's something in my garage that I can't find that's reflecting off of a surface. I never could understand why this happens. However, if you go into the evening after the sun goes down, okay, so if we go here into the evening, so now we're at say 9 p.m. You can see that the Zen12 reports 1 lux. I mean, it's dark in there, right? And the ZSE11 reported 0 right around 8:30 p.m. And now it's no longer bouncing. It's no longer reporting a lot. It's behaving much more as you would expect. Lux is really not changing. It's just dark. So I believe there's something maybe in my garage that's reflecting light during the day, but I never could resolve that issue. But it was in line generally with the Lux reporting of the ZSE11. It was just bouncing up and down more. I tried changing the sensitivity of the Lux in the parameters, but I really didn't have any effect. I also changed the delta by which the Lux should report a change, but since it was bouncing between, say, 80 and 5 in some cases, I could set that parameter really wide and still not have good resolution. So it was a very odd thing. I'm not sure it's so meaningful, but if you were trying to do an action based on how much light your lights in the garage, say, gave off to maybe sense, hey, did I leave those lights on? You may have some difficulty depending on how bright that particular light is. But as far as actual motion here, the Zen12 and the ZSE11 were pretty much in lockstep. And as you can, here's one example here where the the Zen12 and the ZSE11 were very close. There was a few second delay on the ZSE11. I guess I'm not sure, maybe what direction I was walking from in this case. But in general, they are pretty much, we're pretty much in sync for motion detection. And just to give some visibility into how I had the ZSE11 configured, I had motion sensitivity set at 6 out of a maximum value of 8. And if you recall, I had well, actually, let's just go back and look at it. On the ZEN12, I had motion, where is it? Motion set at 8 out of a maximum value of 10. So I tried to get them pretty consistent. The ZEN12's Lux reporting frequency was set to 10, and the reporting threshold was set to 20. Let's take a look at the ZSE11. I had a Lux reporting threshold of 10, which I believe is the same. So, I tried to make these parameter-wise as consistent as possible. I also configured double taps of the down and up buttons to lock, or I should say, to disable motion triggering and basically lock it into a regular switch mode. The way I did that was through to Lua Scenes, actually. So it was this garage lights stay on and garage lights motion activated. So to make them stay on, we simply looked for a double pressed event of the appropriate button and changed parameter 13 to 1. So if we go over and look at parameter 13, this is the disable motion trigger. So if we set it to 1, it will disable the motion trigger. And I also just turned the light on to 100% brightness. It was just a preference after I did that. But then if we wanted to revert that, to reactivate motion, we're looking for a double press of the other button, which is key ID 3. And we're setting parameter 13 back to its default value of 0. And here's parameter 13, its default value of 0 is enable motion trigger. And then, again, my preference was then at that point to turn the light off. I did that because that way, if you did the double press event, you had some indication right in front of you that the script was executed and that it ran properly. I did use this quite a bit when I was working in the garage. I would just do the double press, lock the light into manual mode. It was on there while I was futzing around. And then when I was done, double press the other button to, put it back into motion setting. After using this in my home for a few weeks, I think this ZEN12 Motion Dimmer is a winner. I am looking forward to the final production release, however, which I understand may actually be slightly different hardware-wise. And if you've listened to my previous videos, this was promised in mid-April. I did reach out to Zooz and asked what's the current timeline. They believe it's shortly after the 4th of July. My guess here is maybe mid-July we would see a production model of this, and it'd be interesting to see if it's exactly the same as what we've seen so far, or did it change a little bit between this pre-production model versus what's going to be in production. Thank you for watching. If this video was helpful, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. If you have questions or want to share some love, drop a comment below. I read and respond to everyone personally. Check the description below for product links, resources, and more details from the test bench. And if you'd like to support the channel and the Save the Panel community, sharing the video really helps. Or you can use the Buy Me a Coffee link below if you're feeling extra generous. Either way, I sincerely appreciate it. Until next time, I'll see you online.